Now, 10 days following the Japanese earthquake crisis, there's been a lot of talk about nuclear suppliers, supply chain disruptions. We were just talking about that previously. So my next guest joins us to try to identify some companies, 3 in particular, that could be, well, beneficiaries in the effort to rebuild Japan. My guest is Nick Heymann. He's the Director of Global Industrial Infrastructure at Sterne Agee. That's a good title. I didn't know you had that. That's a great title, Nick.
Hey, listen, I'm doing
Industrial infrastructure. It's true, because when you talk about Japan, you're talking about rebuilding infrastructure. And I want you to focus on some companies and themes here, because a lot of companies got hit after not necessarily the earthquake, but after the tsunami and then the resulting nuclear crisis that really has taken over the headlines. Tell me about GE and what the implications are for General Electric.
Well, I think GE was a case of mistaken identity last week. They did supply the Mark I reactors, but under channeling laws in Japan, once that reactor is turned over to the utility, it's the utility and the government that are responsible for any malfunction or whatever errors that are caused. And so I think GE got leaned on a little bit erroneously, and so they don't have any liability in that situation. That's pretty much the case standard around the world. But,
all right, so if they don't have any liability in this particular case, do you think that the stock was something that, you know, should have been bought, or do you think you should still buy it now, around $19 a share?
Well, certainly, you know, it's attractive. We have a neutral on the stock, but it certainly was unduly punished. You know, ironically, they are going to definitely be involved in helping to supply temporary power, whether it's renting diesel generators, whether it's barge-based natural gas, or even perhaps you know, supplying a natural gas baseload or combined cycle baseload. Because I don't think they're probably going to rebuild you know, nuclear reactors on the site where they now have to take them apart.
No, I think they're going to have a lot on their plate before they do that. What about the sort of highlight that the focus that this puts on battery technology, storage technology? You wanted to talk also about Johnson Controls and how they may be a beneficiary, because people are now going to think, wait a minute, we need to wake up and pay attention to something like, where do we store the energy and how do we get it to the people that need it?
Yeah, the events in the Middle East in terms of precariousness of adequacy of supply of energy, and of course shortfall in Japan, has certainly put an emphasis more than ever on, you know, how can we do more with less in terms of energy. And Johnson's a leader in that in buildings. They're a very major factor in that now in automotive, with start-stop batteries that they'll start putting on Ford's cars this fall. That'll help improve overall CAF by about 6 to 10%. And then they also have just put together a partnership with Hitachi on how to use battery technology to temporarily store non-continuous power and surplus power in the grid. And that's
so you like Johnson Control shares?
Johnson Control. You know, Mike Coleman is our lead analyst on it, and he thinks over the next 3-4 years the stock could double.
Could double in 3 to 4 years. Johnson Controls, JCI. Tell me about Triple M, 3M. What's up there? This is like one of the stocks you've been talking about for a long time. You say this is like a changed company now.
It is a changed company. We think the underlying sales growth is certainly, with acquisitions, likely to be in the low to mid-teens, and certainly much more than the mid to upper single digits historically. And of course, 3M kind of makes the world work in so many different ways, and they will certainly have a participation throughout this year. In Japan, they have 9% of their sales in Japan, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see that be 20 or 30% higher, because they've already stepped up all their safety protective equipment production to be able to help the needs in Japan. But they make products for housing, they make products for automotive, rebuilding roads, they make commercial construction, all kinds of products that go into these buildings. So they're going to be significant.
Yeah, it's no longer just the it never was, but I mean, people think of it the Post-it company. It's not just the Post-it company.
It's not a Post-it company, and you know, amazingly, it has a pretty big stake. You know, most of our companies don't have 9% of their sales when they're, you know, significantly large, you know, suppliers in Japan. And so this is going to be pretty broad-based in terms of how they participate in helping the reconstruction efforts there.
How do you think the stock could do, 3M?
I think 3M certainly has a possibility to go to about $110.
110?
Yeah, over the next 6 to 12 months.
All right, we're going to leave it there. But thanks for giving us the info. GE, cautious right now. Got hit erroneously. But JCI and Triple M, 3M. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Nick Heymann, Sterne Agee.